Right, hi guys. I'm going to kick off because I'm conscious of time. My name is Padraig Rynn, and I work in what's called the third and fourth level office. Um, and I guess part of our job really is to guide you through your journey to RIAM. Firstly, to get you through the admissions process, but also when you become a student of ours, we will support you as well through registration, through exams, through finance, through your graduation. And we work quite closely with the heads of faculty that you're meeting with today as well. So, factoring in the time we have, I'm going to try and give you a quick overview in terms of what is ahead of you in terms of the application stage, entry requirements. But as I said, I've literally got 10 minutes. What I'm going to say to you all is that we would like you to reach out to us after this call, this chat, because what would help is that if you've got any questions, you just email my office directly. Mark, just to say you're not on, you're still on, you're not on mute. You're not on mute. Great, thank you. So let me show you what we're going to talk quickly about and see how we can get through all of this today. So really the priority that I want you to focus on after today's session is to really consider your application. And we're trying to get you to come to us with your application earlier than later. And there's a logic in this, in that we want to get your application in as soon as possible so that we can work with you on any issues you might have before the audition process. And we've broken this down. We've got a deadline of the 30th of December. I want you to be aware that you have actually the idea of getting your application in earlier to us. And what we're saying to you, if you can get your application into us by 30th of November, you'll actually have a reduced application fee of €50. And we're hoping that might incentivize you, firstly. But the other thing I wanted to say to you is that if you get the application into us by the 30th of November, it gives my team and the heads of faculty time to review your application and able to communicate with you earlier, rather than being at the last minute trying to get back to you about the stages of your application, because we've got different stages that we have to look at after we get your application in. And when we get your application in, we then require you to submit a recorded performance that we will review as part of the audition process, which then also requires you to be interviewed by the heads of faculty later on in January. So really what I'm saying to you today is that the earlier you get your application in, the better. We can review the application, address any issues that might be in your application, come back to you one-to-one. We're very much about communicating to students one-on-one about your application. And the other point I want to say to you today is that as an undergraduate student or as a postgraduate student, you do not apply through PAC for undergrad, for postgrad, and for undergrad, you do not apply through the CEO system. You apply directly to our website, and if we can send that link out to you after today's open day for you to see where you make your application. Okay. So I'll move on quickly to the next aspect, which is requirements. I won't go into lots of detail about this, because the only thing I want to say to you as an undergrad student, depending on your nationality, if you're not sure about the entry requirements, you pop us an email. We will tell you very quickly. Depending on the country you're from, there are slightly different requirements. But generally, we will look for a specific high school qualification, such as Leaving Cert A levels, specific grades. The most important aspect then is your performance experience that you have, which looks at what you've done in terms, and this connects to a CV we like you all to complete. Again, we can give you a template that you can use in creating your CV. It's not a problem. We have templates. We can send that out to you. And really the CV is just giving over who you are, your name, your education background, performance, that you have as an experience. Maybe you've got some competitions you've done, notable concerts you've been involved in. And then if you're not an Irish student, for example, or UK, we look at English language. For example, you're coming as a French student, or let's say Chinese, or a student from Singapore, we'd ask you to submit language as well. So really the minimum requirements we look at is about matriculation at undergrad level. And that is looking at having specific grades in English, maths, and another language. And that's at an undergrad level. I won't go into this now because, again, I'm conscious of time. It's on our website, requirements. You can go directly to our website. Again, we can send you all this information about requirements. If you're not sure, it's available, very easy to find. We can give you the links. And again, this PowerPoint slide can be shared with you all after today's open day. Again, this is just an example for non-EU students or European students of English language, we look for an IELTS of 6.5, but we will work with students who've got a slightly lower level of 6.5 if we need to. What I want to highlight a point to you today is that if you did not meet the minimum requirements at high school level for undergrad, we are able to accept students who are below minimum requirements because of how you do in your audition. So your audition is really important because we're able to look at academic exemptions based on how your music standard is. I think it's very important for you to be aware of that. Postgrad students, we look at your degree major. We will always ask you for a personal statement. We don't look for a personal statement from undergraduate students. It's not important for us because we really look at your CV as part of that application. But postgrad, yes. Again, a CV is really important. Looking at your experience. For postgrad students, we'd also look for a repertoire list. And for doctoral students, we require extra information from you in terms of sample academic writing. We also would ask you to submit a one-page proposal on your dissertation. I'll move on from postgrad academic requirements because it really, again, it's looking at a 2-1. Again, depending on the country you're from, as a postgrad student, a 2-1 can equate to an average of 70% in your degree as a GPA. Again, if you're not sure about the country you're applying for and you want to understand what are the minimum requirements from your country, you just contact us and we're able to answer that question very quickly. And again, I say to you that we will always look at your music standards and how well you do in your audition as part of that overview. So if you are below minimum requirements in your degree, we still look at you because of your performance in the exam. And that's really important to us. References are really important to us, and this is across for all of you at undergrad and PG. And you may not have this when you make your application. You don't worry, because what we do is that we will review that after your application comes in. What we will ask you to do is provide us contact details of 2 references. And one of those must be an artistic reference, and that it looks at really recommendation from instrumental vocal teacher, and we can advise your referee what we want, but it's basically looking at your music, your students' musicality, reliability, your learning speed, what accomplishments you had. And then an academic reference, it's usually for your undergrad or postgrad, it's looking really how you've been doing in your secondary education or at your undergraduate level in terms of the different types of references we look for. And again, we can share that with your Pacific referee when we need to. One point I do want to talk to you briefly about is teacher preferences, which will be mentioned to you at different stages throughout the application. Some of you already do have an idea of your teacher, maybe you don't, in terms of who's going to work with you under your instrument. We will be reaching out to you in your application process to maybe consider ranking who is your first choice of your music teacher with RIAM. If you do not know, you don't have to worry about that. There's plenty of time for us to talk to you about that. If you do have a preference already and you're coming to RIAM because of a specific teacher, we do like to know who that teacher is that you're looking at and what your relationship is with that teacher. And as I said, we can review that with you through your journey. This information that you send under your teacher preferences is actually confidential. We don't share it under the application stage of auditions. It's kept under the tertiary team. But we'd like to know what are your choices right now at this stage of your application. Again, if you're not sure, you've got questions, you can ask the tertiary team and we'll happily answer the questions for you. What I do want to cover is one point, which is about the auditions. I think that's really important. We do have a deadline of when auditions must be submitted. So I said my point at the start, getting your application in earlier to us gives us the time to work with you in preparing for your audition video. We don't want this to be last minute. We want you to have time to plan, practice, put the best video together you can. Then you're asked to submit this through YouTube. We send you out a link how to upload the YouTube video, and we will give you guidance on what you have to do in terms. But this is a summary of what we look for in terms of that audition. For some students, we may bring you into the RIAM for further auditions, but we are factoring in COVID, and for the last really 2 years, we have gone with the idea of audition videos as part of the interview process. Performances must be unedited, should be completed in one take if possible, or as a separate unedited pieces combined into one video. So we want you to have time to practice and get that best video together for your submission. And we have recommendations on a program which we look for you to display a range of techniques or styles. We really want students to present work that represents you as the artist. What are you as an artist that makes you so different as an individual? Very much about you as the individual. And I said to you, when you're submitting the video, this is just to give you an idea of what we look for in the audition tip submissions. And again, this will be sent out to you. If you look at instrumental undergraduate, we look for 2 contrasting pieces of 15 minutes. Vocal undergraduates, again, is 2 pieces to include an aria, and a song in English, German, or French. If it's postgraduate, you have your program of choice of 20 minutes duration. And then the next specific program is not really, I don't think it's relevant to any students that is with me today. This is to give you an overview, okay, of the timeline. So our timeline of applications being submitted closed on the 2nd of January. But my advice to you all today is get your application in by the 30th of November if you can. You're paying less money, and secondly, gives us time to work with you to review the application and get back to you over a period of 3 to 4 weeks. On the 6th of January, you'll be sent a link where you have to upload your audition recording, okay? And after that audition recording is submitted successfully, a panel reviews that audition, usually around the 17th to 21st of January. And based on your audition that you've submitted, you are then shortlisted and called for an interview, which is a Zoom interview. And the panel will talk to you about, why you've chosen RIAM, your style of music, etc. And again, we will give you tips as part of the application process, how to prepare for an interview. For us, it's about supporting you right through the application process, right up onto the audition interview. So we will give you tips on how to plan for your interview as well. And after the interview, basically what will happen then is if you're successful, you're then asked to sit an entrance exam. Okay, and that entrance exam is to test your level of understanding of music. So I'm just going to stop it there because I'm conscious of time. And I've tried to keep it within the 10 minutes. I apologize that it's such a rushed kind of presentation, but I have to stick to time. And that's the best I can do for right now. But I would ask you, when you've got questions, please contact myself and my team, and we will make sure and answer the questions for you. All right. I'll be talking to you again later on. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more time.